Towards the end of December 2023, I decided to start writing morning pages. I purchased a copy of Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, several years ago in fact, and thought the beginning of 2024 would be a good time to start it. I'm now going through it as part of a community read-along over on my Substack, which you are welcome to join, by the way. I'd heard of The Artist's Way because other writers and creatives had called it life-changing. Then I listened to an episode on Emma Gannon's podcast where she interviewed Julia, and this convinced me to buy the book. I struggle with procrastination when it comes to my writing and my creativity. I have the fear of failure and a real fear of success. I fear stepping out of my comfort zone because of what might happen. The Artist's Way promised to unblock me, to stop me from stopping myself, and to change my life. But it was different from other books about creativity and self-confidence, because The Artist's Way is a 12-week course within a book. Julia Cameron provides tools to help us, and one of these tools is morning pages. So what exactly are morning pages? They are basically streams of consciousness that you scribble onto the page. Julia introduces them as an apparently pointless process. I think it's important to remember these words because when you have doubts about the writing of the pages, when you feel nothing is happening, then those three words reassure you. If Julia describes them as apparently pointless, then progress can obviously not be seen to the naked eye. It suggests we need patience, consistency, and not to give up. Julia goes on to say, put simply, the morning pages are 3 pages of longhand writing, strictly streams of consciousness. They might also more ingloriously be called brain drain, because that is one of their main functions, to drain your brain. Essentially, they are just words that flow out of our head, whatever comes to mind. Nothing is too petty, too silly, too stupid, or too weird to be included. The idea is that by writing all this stuff down, the floater, the drudge, the angst, the anxieties, the whines, the petty thoughts from our heads, we can move it out of the way in order to get to the other side of our fears, our moods, and our negativity. We get it out of the way onto the page to free our minds so the more creative thoughts can start to creep in. We are simply making room. Incidentally, this is the exact same reason why I love my writing notebook. Just writing down ideas, thoughts, quotes, and so on from my head into the notebook helps create room for more ideas. So what is my experience of writing morning pages over the last month? Now, Julia has a few rules. 3 A4 pages to be written in the morning in longhand, but she also says you'll find your own way and that there's no right or wrong way of doing them. I aim for 2 pages of A4 a day. I don't always achieve it. Occasionally I've written less than 1 page. But so far I have managed every day since the last week of December, and although I try to do them first thing in the morning, I don't always achieve that either. Sometimes it can be last thing at night, sometimes it can be the middle of the day. Incidentally, one of the read-along members in my Substack community said she likes to do them last thing at night to stop all those voices that fill your head as soon as you close your eyes. Now, I don't always follow the official rules of Julia's, but I'm certainly not going to make that an issue to beat myself up over. I know myself well enough. If I get too strict with myself, I'll give up out of sheer bloody-mindedness. So I do it the way that suits me and fits in with my routine and just works for me. Better that than not doing them at all. Now, there is someone else in my Substack community read-along who cannot do them longhand. So she uses a website called 750 Words to type hers. I'll link that in the description box below. But this website is especially being created to help you with your journaling and was inspired by Julia's Morning Pages. So do check that out if you are not a longhand sort of person. So for the first few days, my hand really ached from writing by hand. I was so out of practice. I don't think I've written so much by hand since I was at school. But as the days and weeks have gone on, it has become less of an issue. I also started not really knowing what to say, so I wrote that down. I also literally wrote blah, 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 quite a number of times on a number of occasions. I also found as a writer that I was trying to write in the format of an essay with a beginning, a middle and an end. And Julia does say that writers might have the hardest time because we have a regrettable desire to write morning pages instead of just doing them. We are trying to write them. We are trying to make it coherent to a reader, but that's not the point of it. It's not going to be read by anybody. Once I realised this, I relaxed into it more and I didn't worry about cohesiveness or structure or even having a point. And now I've got to the point where I'm writing a sentence and sometimes interject with a seemingly random and trivial thought. I interrupt myself and I don't censor it. As soon as it's in my head, it's down on paper. I love it when my hand moves across the page, spilling words seemingly without thinking at all. That doesn't always happen though. Sometimes I feel like the voices and the chattering in my head are so loud, but as soon as I pull out my notepad and a pen, the voices hush and retreat into the shadows. That can be very irritating. But on the whole, it feels like I'm scraping away slowly at the sludge in the corners of my mind. Small scrapings every day truly do add up. So how do I feel after 1 month in myself and with my creativity? Julia said to expect some emotional stuff to come out, and it's certainly been interesting. I did have a major epiphany fairly early on. I've also had some low moods and a couple of creative ideas. Now, whether these would have happened anyway, I can't say for sure, but I'm certainly enjoying the routine and the rhythm of writing morning pages. It helps that I'm in a community too, because on those days when I really don't want to do them, I force myself. And I'm always glad I have. Mostly, I like the fact that if something is bothering me, I can just park it on the page and leave it there, rather than it snowballing around my mind and taking up space. I don't want to put any pressure on myself, but on the whole, I'm loving this practice and I intend to do it for the foreseeable. I'll update you in another month or so with how I'm getting on.